All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our final forms class of the year. As I said, we did this last year. It's always fun to kind of do a little review of the year of some crazy transactions and things that have happened, situations, just crazy stories. And sometimes we open it up and if anybody wants to tell any of their crazy stories. And then at the end, we'll be going over NWMLS disciplinary actions from the last quarter. So let me kick things off here. First things first, I wanted to talk about, don't even need to share my screen yet for a little bit. First thing was Form 17. So it's so critical to have our sellers fill in your form, the Form 17, not only accurately, but they need to make sure it's completely filled in. Form 17s are one of those things that sellers, they always have trouble with, and brokers always have trouble with explaining things. Like, how do you properly fill these things in? And just some of the things to remember is that, first and foremost, there should be one box marked per line, no matter what, right? So the choices are yes, no, hell no, and not applicable. I'm just kidding, it's hell no. So the yes, no, don't know, and not applicable. So one of those boxes must be marked per line. If they're not, then that's not considered complete. The other important piece is that if one of the yes start asterisk, questions is marked yes, if one of those questions are marked yes, it states right there that the seller must explain further on page 5 in the box. So now I know everyone uses Transaction Desk and they use that to send to their clients to digitally mark and to fill in. But you really, listing brokers, we got to take our time to review our sellers' Form 17s. First and foremost, make sure they're completed. And if the yes box is marked, that they did explain it. A big misconception. Sellers think, oh, well, yeah, we had a roof leak and it's, got a stain and obviously we got it repaired and nothing's happened since. So they think, well, it's fixed. They think that this disclosure form is supposed to be telling things about what are current issues. Now, when I gave the example of a roof leaks, automatically there is a question for that. Has the roof leaked in the past, how many years?
5.
5 years. It's very specific. So if it was over 5 years, then obviously then they can say no, so they can answer that accurately. But the thing to keep in mind, it's always better to explain issues that have happened, regardless of when it was, and to supply the evidence of who fixed it and what was done, what was performed, and here's the receipts and here's the warranty. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like the whole, like, you're buying a used car. Here, one used car, it looks really nice, and you open the glove box and it's just empty. So right away you're like, okay, there's nothing in the glove box. Okay, not even the owner's manual. That's even weirder. So then you open it, you go to the next car, and it's the same type of car. It's a little bit older, and it's not quite as clean as the other one. But you open up the glove box, and there's the manual. On top is like a folder of all the records of every oil change, of all the times it's had tune-ups, of every single repair, all the receipts, the warranties for the tires that they bought. It just makes you feel better, doesn't it? You're like, okay, it's a used car, but man, did they take good care of it. You can see the history. It makes you feel comfortable. It's no different for a buyer buying a home when you see that, you see the actual records of, things that have happened and what was done and how was it fixed. This is kind of weird. The thing's cutting my head off, so I guess I better stand up higher. So just keep that in mind when you're having the sellers fill out those Form 17s. Now, we have used this, and you guys have probably heard many times in forms classes that, we've used these types of things to get buyers out of contracts. Believe it or not, we used it we had a newer broker situation, and up against a very experienced broker who'd like to remind her how many years she had been in the business throughout the whole transaction, for the offer, through everything. So they get all the way through inspection. They are literally like a week before closing, and the buyer goes, I don't want to buy this house anymore. I just want to skip it. I do not want to buy it. I don't care if I lose my $10,000 on this money. I just can't buy this house. It's wrong. It's like, okay, so we went through the contract, and and he's like, well, I'm just gonna give up my earnest money. I'm like, well, I mean, I understand that, yeah, but let me look through the deal and see if I can find some issues with it. So found a lot of issues. For the very experienced listing broker, I'm not quite sure why they allowed a Form 34 to go back and forth to be their final thing for a counteroffer addendum first. And secondly, unfortunately, through the negotiations that were so heavy, nobody realized that the legal never got initialed, and it wasn't even included. So there was no Exhibit A. And this is a condo. So, very important to kind of see, you can't really buy the whole building, right? So if they were like, oh, we're using the parcel ID, because a lot of times the parcel ID is for the whole building. So there's these situations that can come up where, okay, well, I'm not an attorney, nor have I played one on TV, but I'm sure if you brought this to an attorney, they're going to tell you that this is probably not even enforceable. And so buyer's like, nah, I don't even want to deal with attorneys. I just want to give up my money. I want to just walk away. I was like, wow, like, who doesn't want 10 G's? I don't get it. Like, I understand. Okay. So I looked further, and the next thing I know, I was like, oh, wait a minute. They didn't answer questions on the Form 17. They missed the yes, but they answered yeses, and they didn't answer them. So I asked our buyer broker to please send the Form 17 back and say, hey, the sellers missed this. And especially if you did remodeling, it said, did you get permits? And it said, yes, but we don't see any permits. There's no record of anything. And so they said, oh no, we're so sorry. That was a mistake. They all they did was paint. So they didn't do remodeling. They didn't get permits. They didn't need permits. And they said, yes, so we're going to make changes, and we'll change Form 17, initial it, and send it to you. So what does that do?
New 3-day period.
What's it do?
Starts a new 3-day period for the buyer to walk away.
Yeah, it restarts the 3-day right of redemption. The buyer has a right to terminate based on the redisclosure. So that time starts over. Now, on the Form 17, obviously the buyer had only signed on page 6, number 1, which is the acknowledgement of what? You guys remember? Come on, Zoom people, unmute.
Acknowledge that they've received it.
Receipt, yep, absolutely. So they've acknowledged receipt only. Now, number 2 is what? Do you guys remember what the number 2 line is? Number 2 is the buyer's waiver, the waive the right to back out of the deal based on a seller's disclosure. Now, if this particular Form 17 had been signed on lines 1 and 2, we would not have been able to do this. I mean, we could have tried and attempted, and then it would have been one of those things, but luckily they had only signed the acknowledgement. So once we sent over, and I believe it is the 90A, is it 90A? Let me look here. I'll share my screen so you guys can see here. But I believe it was 90A. Yes, 90A, notice of rescission. Let me share my screen so Zoom people can see. Boy, hide it. Why it's showing all these weird bars on the side. All right. So we basically sent, as soon as we got that updated Form 17, we sent this 90A and we said buyer has reviewed Form 17. Whichever is applicable and elects to rescind the agreement by or hereby demands return on the earnest money. We mark the box along with the Form 50 for the entire earnest money back. They were pissed. That broker was so mad, called their DB to call me and like, what do you know? The DB hadn't even seen this before. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, well, you can go ahead and call your, call your attorney and verify this, but yes, your sellers redisclosed and you just restarted the right to redemption. The buyer can now elect to terminate. Well, I've never seen this done, or heard of this even. Well, neither did the listing broker, who was very experienced, remember? So they were very upset. They told their, sellers, and of course, I mean, nobody likes to get terminated on in the week of closing, right? And this is before Thanksgiving. So I know, it wasn't nice, it wasn't fun. But that's what it is. I mean, it really comes down to who knows the forms better. And that's one thing we really try to pride ourselves on and push on and really learn on. That's why we keep up and have forms class still. It can be boring and a little bit mundane, but this is where the wins happen. So they tried to negotiate. They asked the buyer give half. And at first the buyer's like, yeah, that's fine, I'll give half. And we're like, why would you even I just didn't understand why our buyer was so, I guess he just felt because he changed his mind, he felt like he should lose money. So he ended up giving up $2,500. So it's like, okay, that's what he wanted to do. Even though I said, go see an attorney, and I'm very, very confident they would basically say that, you don't even have a deal.
It's not gonna work with people like that, but
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, so anyways, that is it for Form 17, but just, please keep in mind, it's very important that each of those yes start items get answered. And it's even better that you disclose things that have happened in the past, even if it is a long time ago and it was fixed, but nothing has happened since, and here's the receipts and here's who repaired it, right? Though that's just it's a better practice. Let's see. Oh, one other thing. Form 17. What was it? I was gonna mention one other thing on it. What was it? Let me see. Oh, yes. If, and this is a really key thing, if for any reason whatsoever you are getting a seller's provided home inspection, whether a partial one, full, whatever, if they are supplying a buyer with a inspection, we really have to remember to get that seller procured inspection report, the company form. Let me move this over out of the way here. So if you go to the company forms, go to John L. Scott. John Scott forms. And then right in here, there's the seller procured inspection report, the JLS SPIR. If you're doing using transaction desk, which you should anyway, for writing all your offers, when you're using that to find your phone forms, that is in there. You just search JLS in the search bar and all of the John L. Scott forms will come up. But this should be included, and just get this signed off. It actually protects the seller too, because it makes any of the inspection report become part of the seller's disclosure statement. So that's why it's actually really good for all parties. But both people should sign off on that. So if you're a listing broker and you're having a pre-inspection done, and you're gonna upload the inspection, or you're gonna say, hey, I'm giving this to anyone who, basically emails me and requests it. Like, this should be uploaded in your supplements already signed off by your seller. So just make sure you guys use those. Alrighty. All right, our next deal was, the sewer scope gone wrong. So
What does that mean, sewer scope?
sewer scope gone wrong, it's a story. So we have our listing broker. This is not finalized yet, we're still in the middle of this one, but I thought it was very important. So our listing broker, they got under contract. And the buyer broker, went ahead and scheduled the inspection. And the home inspector also does sewer scopes, and so the home inspector was on the roof because there was no clean out for this older home. And so he's on the roof and he's in the port, and he's shoving the camera down, and he goes through the line, and he's like, okay, yeah, sewer looks good, so he's bringing it back up, bringing it up, and all of a sudden, it stops. Can't. Nope, it's not going forward, it's not going backward, it's not going forward, nothing, it is just stuck. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna pull it, and boom, okay, there it goes, perfect. All right, got it loose, keep pulling all the way up and all the way out, and the end of it's missing the camera. It broke off. So what would you guys, you're the buyer broker now, what would you do in that situation? What are you gonna do?
Call Eric.
Go me? Okay, yeah. Go ahead, I'll allow it.
That's good.
I
mean,
mean-
I would believe you're required to let the seller, the selling agent know that there's a problem.
Yeah, that sounds pretty logical,
And
Jim.
I think you have to probably fix the problem.
Yeah, so that, I mean, so what possibly could happen if something is lodged in the sewer line? What?
Could block your flow of sewage.
Oh, it could block the flow of sewage, what else? What goes down the sewer line? Besides the obvious, from a toilet, right? But what other sources go down the sewer line?
Well, usually it could all, your garbage disposal stuff,
Yeah.
things like that, things that maybe there's something that was put into the toilet that shouldn't have been put in there, suddenly
Where's your shower water go?
goes in the sewer line,
Goes in the sewer line. Where's the laundry water go?
hopefully the sewer line.
Sewer line. Right? It all goes out the line. So it's very critical in that situation. You would call and you'd probably put a sign up and say, don't run water. I mean, if that camera's lodged in there. And the cameras are about, they're like, I don't know, they're almost like a fist big, I mean, almost. So it's like pretty good sized piece of something that's, Well, in this case, the buyer broker was more focused on getting discounts for their buyer. That they called and, a couple times to our agent and said, yeah, this roof is old, we're probably gonna need a new roof. This crawl space needs cleaning, we gotta do this, and just was calling and saying, and finally our broker's like, why are you calling me, tell me, just send us when you're ready to request, I don't understand this, yeah, it makes no sense. And then the broker goes, on the second phone call says, oh, by the way, we have to come back in a couple days because we couldn't complete the sewer scope. That's what they said.
That's a red flag. Because you don't get a do-over
Mhm.
unless you fill out the proper form to do another inspection.
Well, they still had time on their inspection contingency, so they could come back. But what's the problem with that? And this is an occupied home.
They haven't disclosed.
They haven't told them.
They just plugged the sewer.
Told them that the camera broke off in their sewer line. So then the buyer broker texts our broker, our listing broker, and says, okay, we're done. Seller can come home now. That's all they said. So the sellers come home and what do? Oh, we gotta get the laundry done for this weekend and stuff. Let's get things going. Start laundry, start cooking, showers, getting ready, bathrooms used a couple times. And what do you think happened?
It comes back into the
Yeah,
house.
it all backed up into the house everywhere.
Uh,
So the sellers were like, oh no, what the heck happened? So they call emergency plumbing. Plumbing comes out, they're like, yeah, it is clogged. I don't really know what it is. We can't, it's something's lodged in there. And so the sellers had no idea that, this is caused by the home inspector's camera. So they're just like, we gotta get it repaired. So they gotta break through the wall. They finally like get to the section and then they're like, okay, it is clogged. So finally they're like, goosh, 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 and boom, and it finally like pushes it out, and so it totally unclogs. And so they're like, yeah, well, we got it. We're gonna have to repair this. Then they accidentally damaged another wall when they were bringing in equipment. So they damaged the seller's house on accident, and they understand it was for an emergency thing because they had to get the water out. And of course they had to like waste and clean or use all their towels and everything they had that they owned to clean up the sewage. And then the broker's texting back and forth and says something along the lines of, and this is days later. Oh, yeah, we need to come back so the inspector can get his camera. And our broker was like, what? He read the text and then he picked up the phone call. What are you talking about? What do you mean camera? Where did he leave a camera?
right.
Yeah, like it didn't make any sense at all. And like, you mean he left his like camera for his inspections? And she goes, oh, and then she goes, oh no, the camera got stuck. And then because he found out, obviously his seller called him, we had sewer backup. And unfortunately the seller has a bad back, had surgery on their back. Of course, they've hurt their back now, cleaning up stuff. So, and then guess what? The buyer said, I'm backing out.
No.
Sent the 35R and they're electing to terminate, want their $10,000 back. Earnest money. So, yeah. And $7,500 later was the bill for the plumbing repairs, and they had to install a clean out to get whatever was down there to force it all the way out to the main, to the sewer line. So, yeah, the camera obviously caused the damage. The home, okay, so you guys know the story, but ultimately, who's responsible for the damage?
Well,
I think the
What do you think?
inspector needs to
Inspector?
be in. Cause I mean,
the question is that, at least I would agree that the inspector would be responsible or the buyers, but you use the clause within the inspection saying what they're responsible for,
Mhm.
how much the damage is. My dad would be $7,500. So to me, it's like the thing for the sellers that goes, let's go talk to an attorney.
So contractually, who is responsible for damage?
The buyers.
The buyers? What do you guys think? Zoom people, unmute. Got a call on you.
Buyer's agent.
Buyers for sure.
Buyers. So,
They already pay for inspection costs, so I feel like it falls under the same thing. But we'll see.
we'll pull it up for you guys. Obviously, we got to get to Form 35 for the inspection.
Good stories.
Yeah, that's why we do these.
And can't read.
Yeah. And this is all real stuff too, so I'll go Control F and I'll do damage. And there damage. Oh, there it is. Buyer's obligations. All inspections are to be A, ordered by buyer, B, performed by inspectors of buyer's choice, and C, completed at buyer's expense. Buyer shall not alter the property or any improvements on the property without first obtaining seller's permission. Buyer is solely responsible for interviewing and selecting all inspectors. Buyer shall restore the property and all improvements on the property to the same condition they were in prior to the inspection. And here's the damaging line, you guys, number 19 through 20. Buyer shall be responsible for all damages resulting from any inspection of the property performed on buyer's behalf. So contractually, buyers are liable for this type of situation.
So has that been resolved? Or is this-
It's still not resolved yet.
So did they give them back the earnest money? Or
No,
Then-
no, we have not signed back off on this money. And after I spoke to their DB, he's like, yeah, well, this buyer broker's not very experienced, and even though she's been in the business for a long time, she doesn't do a lot of deals. She works part-time.
There's a point that this kind of mistake, a lot of agents would make of trying
Yeah.
to slide something through. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, even if they're experienced or something, you know, always thinking the hell it's them.
yeah.
So,
So keep in mind, that if you're in a situation where something happens at a property, immediately, notify the listing broker. They've got to know. And if it's some type of like a situation like this, I would have put a ding note up and like, do not run water. I mean, obviously, I just can't grasp like how anyone would think, oh, it's gonna be fine, lodge down there. Like how they would think that could be okay to just leave it there and not say anything.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, the broker is like, oh, no, I told him. Like, no, you didn't. Like, you only communicated via text and your calls, but your calls were just to complain about this. And then you said you'll have to come back to the sewer, to complete the sewer scope. You did not say the camera got stuck. If you would have done that, we would have called the plumber right away. And if they would have known that that's what it was, they could have done some things differently. It would have been this costly. And it would have never backed up and caused all the damage, and now the seller's back is like injured more. I don't know, I mean, we've told them to seek legal advice, obviously, so we don't know like what's gonna happen from that. But do keep in mind that, situations do arise, and I get it, I've been called literally where a home inspector has fallen through a ceiling. And right through into the kitchen, boom, right to the floor, all the way through the ceiling, So these things have happened and, yeah, most of the time the home inspectors usually do pay for the damage they caused, but buyer's ultimately responsible.
that's good to know.
Yep. All right, so that is our other one. Next up is, oh, here we go. Take a guess. So from November to now, to today, take a guess at how many times buyer brokers on the other end of deals that were writing offers missed their own compensation on 17B. They didn't fill it in.
Probably go about 50%.
No, I'm just like, give me a count, give me a number, how many deals you think that we have had?
In this
They've
office,
closed, one of them didn't.
just in this office.
Who's we? John L. Scott?
Just our office, just Kent North.
Oh,
You find out-
53.
53, that would be crazy.
Oh.
That would be super high. Not percentage. This is just like how many deals.
Go with 5.
Yeah,
man.
53 deals.
53.
I'll go,
Love it, Robert.
I'll go 33.
33, wow, you guys are really high. It's 12.
Oh, okay.
I'd say
12 deals
Well, it's getting better.
since November.
Oh,
That's a lot,
That is.
a lot. 12 deals. One of them, the broker should have got about 60 grand. They didn't get it.
Were we the writing?
We were the listing sides on all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. $60,000 they did not get at closing. They tried and tried sending me Annie Fitzsimmons videos saying, Annie says here that ethically you need to tell us that if we missed it and if you didn't. I'm like, no, that's not what she says. I know that video very well. Nice try. Like, the guy tried. And it was so weird. Their DB just never responded. He like CC'd on everything and never, not once did he pipe in. Cause he knew that you're just,
Wow.
you don't fill it in, you don't get paid nothing, so. It's still happening, it's like, it's one of the things that, now we had one of our own brokers messed up and failed to fill it in. But luckily they caught it, like right during inspection time, and so they said, okay, here we go, listing broker, we messed up on this. We'd like to get this covered, yeah, and so they worked things out, they got lucky, but. Our broker's like, I can't believe I missed, I just got busy and it's like, did you use transaction desk? And it's like, it auto fills in A, and they missed all of it, not just. Not just B, but A and B was not filled in, and you gotta remember that A and B has to be filled in all of the time. It's always filled in. Even if it's an off-market deal. If it's an off-market deal, what would go in A? What would you write in A? 17A. So it's an off-market deal, I
Zero.
mean.
Zero.
Zero, you could put in just a zero, or you could put the dollar symbol 0.00, that's preferred. But yeah, you're always filling in A and B. This is always that. All right, next up is small claims court. So unfortunately, one of our brokers was called to small claims court for the maximum amount. Does anybody know how much that is?
10,000?
10,000, Jim says? What say if you do? What's the max you can sue for it in small claims?
5,000, I think.
5,000?
3,500.
It used to be a lot lower, but it is $10,000. That's the max.
Raised it.
Yeah, they had raised it. I don't remember when, but it is bad. So the situation is our listing broker. They had a residential home. The property has HOA dues of $80 a month. But these dues are paid quarterly. Okay, so the dues are paid quarterly, they're $80 a month. Buyers come along, they wrote their offer in the beginning, that had an inspection. They had a 10-day information verification period. And they came in a tiny bit low than asking price. Our listing broker said, it's day one on the market and we've had 17 showings. We're gonna get multiple offers. Seller will review offers on Monday, so it's one of those things where they changed to review offers on Monday. So they ended up getting, I think, 4 offers. So these same buyers rewrote a new offer, submitted, and the property ended up selling for 1.8 something, 1.86. So these buyers win it. And they close on the property and everything's good, and then they send our client to court because their Redfin app told them that the dues are only, what is it, 27 bucks, I think it is, a month. But yet they're charged 80 and they get billed quarterly. So they start going back like, why are we getting sued for 10 grand for this? Like, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. So they reviewed everything, tried to find out what happened, and what they come to find out was that in the beginning, they listed the property at dues are 80 a month. Well, the seller had called in and talked to the staff person and told the staff person that, oh, the dues are 80 a month, but they're billed quarterly. So the staff person changed the listing to show that the billing is quarterly, paid quarterly, but they did not adjust the 80 a month. What should they have done?
They should have adjusted the 80 a month and said 320 quarterly.
240. Correct. Yeah, so exactly. So if you're making an adjustment in a listing for any type of dues or something like that, you have to make sure it's reflecting correctly in both, right? You don't want it to stay at the 80 a month paid quarterly, because otherwise that's going to reflect online and everywhere else that the dues are way less than they should have been.
But
So,
Eric, aren't like the information verification period as well as on Form 17, it's written in, so I'm surprised there's a case because it's
Yeah,
buyer's due diligence.
Yeah, we're getting there, Sierra. So obviously we look at the Form 17 because you all know that the Form 17 disclosures, are there HOA dues? Yes. To who? How much? And when are they paid? So it's written out on from our seller that it's 80 a month. So the buyers received that Form 17 way back on their first offer. And it was obviously like time had passed. I mean, they closed on the place. And after further investigating, the buyer signed a document at closing that comes from the HOA. And the HOA discloses how much their dues are, when they're billed, and how much are they paying at closing. So in this case, the actual HOA messed up on their form and they put $240 a month, billed monthly.
Oh, gosh.
So they messed up too. And the buyer still closed, right? So we had, if anyone's ever had to go to small claims court, you get a process of first mediation where they bring the parties together with a mediator via Zoom, and you talk, you basically go through your entire case to the mediator, and I mean, they don't make a judgment call, but they want you to try to settle. That's the whole point. They don't want you to go all the way down, to the court, because you're clogging the courts over stupid stuff like this. So anyway, we get there, we do the whole thing, the mediation for like, it was hours. And finally, we pause our thing so they can't hear us, and our broker's like, dude, just see if they're willing to even settle. Cause to me, the way they're talking, it's like, I mean, they're not even willing to settle for anything. Like they want more than 10 grand. It kind of sounds like they think they're so damaged. So I kind of stop and I'm like, are you guys even willing to settle anything for this? Like why we're here right now? And they said, the buyers are like, well, no, we planned on owning this home for the rest of our life. And these are first time home buyers too. We plan on owning this home for the rest of our lives and we'll be damaged way more than 10,000. So no, we don't want to settle. We're like, okay, but then we're done here. That's what I said. And then the mediator's like, okay, well, I guess, yeah, you still have 20. I'm like, no, this is pointless. Let's go ahead and end this. We'll see you in court. And so we pressed on, and sure enough, we had our day in court, and all we did is review the facts that, just like Sierra said, like, wait a minute, they had an information verification period, even though they waived it, right? They ended up waiving it. And they still moved forward. They received the Form 17, they signed off on that. They got it. And, they still were, trying to sue for this, damage. So anyways, I came with a bunch of information about the average HOA dues in the state of Washington is actually for a condo, it's $505. Okay, for the state. Do you guys know? Take a guess on how much it is for residential.
Wait, what about 30?
No. You think 30 a month? No, take a guess. Zoom people?
Oh.
85.
65.
75.
120.
It's 105.
Oh, what's close?
Isn't that crazy? I didn't think it was that high. It kind of sounds a little higher. So the median is 105, they're paying 80. I mean, give me a break. And how were they damaged? I said, I don't understand how they were damaged. And when I told the judge that, I said, Your Honor, yes, they're first time home buyers. Nobody likes getting a bill for more than what they thought it was gonna be. And we've all been there. I go, but I do not see in any way, shape, or form how these buyers were damaged. Their property value has already gone up since they purchased it. And I said, and the median is 105 for Washington State. And when they signed on the dotted line at closing, the HOA disclosure docs, which you all have a copy of, they thought it was 280 or 240 a month, and they still signed and closed. I said, I don't understand, why we're here today. This is the first time in 26 years I've had to go to court. And the judge, when I told him that, and I go, and we're not dealing with like a really small first-time home buyer, like you kind of think that this is $1.86 million. When I said that, the judge eyes ago, she goes, and so did the lady who was taking notes. So I knew they were like, okay, yeah, these people are not damaged. But anyways, so we got to the end and they, we pleaded our cases. And so the judge said, will give us the judgment within 2 weeks, is when if they will send it via, certified mail and everything. So here's what the court found. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, the court notes that the HOA dues amount was improperly stated in several locations, including the Redfin listing. However, the accurate amount due, however, the accurate dues amount was disclosed in the seller's disclosure form 17. Although the plaintiffs received inconsistent information, the court cannot find that the defendant knowingly provided false information or intentionally misrepresented a material fact. The plaintiff's own agent acknowledged that the pace of negotiations contributed to the failure to request corrected disclosures, especially in light of competing offers. There is no evidence establishing that the defendant intentionally provided false or misleading information for the purpose of inducing the plaintiffs to purchase the home. The discrepancy in the HOA dues, while unfortunate, does not rise to the level of actionable misrepresentation on the record before the court. Additionally, the plaintiffs waived the information verification period, and there is no showing that the HOA discrepancy materially altered the value or condition of the property in a manner that supports a monetary judgment in small claims court. Judgment is entered for the defendant.
Oh.
So they dropped the whole thing.
Where was the house at? So this is in
Redmond, that
Okay.
was Redmond area, something like that, yeah. Yeah, very, but. These things, it's like, you just never know what's gonna happen, because you don't know like the knowledge of that judge, because.
Oh, yeah.
Real estate's a very nichey thing, we tell our clients if they ever have any issues. With real estate, go see a real estate attorney. You don't just go see a general practicing attorney, because they're just not up on the rules and the Northwest MLS laws and the Department of Licensing laws and everything, it's just different. You want the specialist working on specialists. So that's how things ended, but we ended up winning that, and that felt very good, especially like knowing that, a broker could have to pay 10 grand. He was willing to settle. He would have settled and just got, just to be done with it, because who wants to go through that?
Here's my question. So of that,
Mhm.
if there was a different scenario and the both broker, the firm had been liable, what part of E&O's insurance would cover that? Because that's a good question, because suddenly.
I don't know. Is one of those tricky things, they're gonna check to see all the right things were done in the transaction. The broker charged a nominal fee, to perform real estate brokerage services. I mean, they look for every loophole that they can to not cover somebody. That's definitely gonna be a topic of the future, because we know our E&O is probably gonna go up because of the cost, like. They're just like, yeah, we can't, right now, I think we pay $35 per deal for our E&O. It's probably gonna go up because the costs are just astronomical. I don't know when, but where, but more than likely that probably will happen. All right, so let's jump over to did it change our disciplinary? I hate it when it does that. Oh no, I think it's over here. Here we go. All right, Zoom people, you can still see that. Here is our disciplinary item, so we're gonna go through these guys. Now, they do not protect the names at all, but this is literally, we've got real broker, real estate. So designated broker, here Dan, and the broker who messed up is Lucas here. What was the rule violated? 2C. So that's no promotion when listing's not published, meaning this broker was basically advertising a listing online, like call me to come see this place or whatever, and it's not even listed. The broker promoted a property prior to inputting or corresponding active listing into the Northwest MLS database. The penalty was $5,000. Designated broker and broker are required to attend a Northwest MLS rules and regulations class within 60 days. So normally if you get hit with one of these, they reduce it and they hold back the additional amount. Unless I forgot how long it is.
Usually a year.
Yeah, I guess it is usually a year. And then if long as nobody else in the firm hasn't the same issue, they'll drop that $2,500. They basically say, hey, it's $5,000, but we're gonna waive 2,500 of it and hold it off. So that, in case anyone else, so that kind of tells me they've already had one. If they got the full $5,000 fine.
But you're asking like the brokers who don't put in the compensation in 17. I think you said, probably a lot of these brokers on this list and fall in that category.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. All right, next is member is R1 Washington, never heard of them. So Melinda's the designated broker. The broker got in trouble as Rick, and guess what? He did the same thing, 2C. So 2Cs, no promotion, same thing without inputting the listing. The broker promoted properties prior to inputting corresponding active listings into Northwest MLS database. Their penalty is fined $1,500. So this is probably that's the first time they've ever had anything. Designated broker and broker are required to attend a class within 180 days. You can see, like, wait a minute, why did Real get $5,000 and have to do the class within 60 days, and these guys got only 1,500, and they can do it within 180. It just shows that they've had more violations with the same thing. That's what that means.
So I'm not clear on this, obviously.
Mhm.
Can you still talk about the upcoming listing within your office?
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, what they're talking about is literally you promoted it. You
Yeah.
published online somewhere, more than likely social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering how they got caught.
Well, how they got caught is someone saw it and turned them in. That's exactly how they take a screenshot and send it and turn them into Northwest MLS. Happens all the time. Uh-oh, John Scott Lacey, my buddy Steve Chung. And Garrett is the broker who violated Rule 101E. This is very rare. I don't even think I've seen this happen in forever, but it's a consent is required to change other members' compensation. So the broker used undue pressure to secure another member's written permission to reduce their compensation. So somehow the broker on the other side of the deal, this broker, unfortunately, he used pressure to make them reduce their commission. And if you get caught doing stuff like that, then yeah, they can go to Northwest MLS and say you can't do that. And so they fined them $2,500. And they also have to go to the rules and regulations class within 180 days. If it's 2,500, and it's obviously first time that's happened, so. But not good. Next one is Paramount Real Estate Group. So Mr. David is designated broker violated rule. Oh, there it is again, 2C. Broker promote a property without inputting corresponding active listing, and the penalty is reprimand. So that means their firm's never had one, and that's the first one. So they got the straight up, here's your very first warning. You better tell everyone else in your firm, do not promote listings. These are the ones you see all the time. It's just the ones that we've had 2 in our firm since I've been here in over 6 years. We've had 2. And one of them, unfortunately, was our broker's own listing that they were flipping. And they didn't think that the rule applied as, oh, this is my house. I'm showing a picture of my own house I'm selling. in the future.
Oh, but if you, but could you do that and not have it be listed as a broker?
No.
As a registered, because you're in the multiple, even if it's your property, so.
You can't promote it, and that's what happened. Our broker put it online on social. Yeah. All right, next up, Reel is up again. They got another one. This one is, oof. Advertising another member's listing without getting their permission. Broker promoted a property exclusively listed by another member without written permission.
I'm glad,
$2,000 fine.
I have a story about something like this.
Yep.
Do you know who the agent Ben Kenny is? You remember Raintree?
Yes.
Oh, basically, when I went to a class years ago, and I don't, it was, I think it was in ERA, not John Scott and Puyallup. But they were bragging about he was promoting everybody else's listing. I said, that can't be right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a lie yet, they're like this, but you know, basically he was just on, I'll put him on his line, his website, like I have all these listings. And it's like, you know, that's just ethically wrong.
Yeah.
Why-
If you're posting people's listings like on a site or thing, and you're representing them as your own, that you can get in trouble. If you're using the IDX, their Internet Data Exchange plugin from Northwest MLS, which you get from John L. Scott for both your John L. Scott app and your website, you don't get in trouble.
So
You're not an open house of
explain that.
another.
No, you can't.
So, but you're, so other people's listings, not John Scott's, but you can put them on your website, is that?
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Mhm. Yep. So like if you are on, well, I'll just go to my website real quick, watch. So if I were to jump to Seattle neighborhoods and I said Ballard, and I just went to this house right here in Ballard that's active, oh, it's my listing. Need more information? Contact me here. Oh, there's an open house scheduled.
Is it-
Right, this is IDX, and how you tell is because it states right here, listing courtesy of Windermere Real Estate Midtown. So it tells who who really is the listing broker, but I'm advertising it on my website, right? So you guys can do that too.
So how do you do that? Cause that's, yeah, I don't have any listings on my website to advertise, so that's.
You basically can make your own neighborhoods. How you do this is you save these in property trackers of your own account, of your John L. Scott account, and then you can create websites for different communities and have every page. You can do that for vacant land, you can do it for bank-owned homes, you can do it for waterfront homes. You can make anything, you know, Uber luxury homes, whatever you wanted to, you can make your own unlimited pages. So, yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, cause so it's because of John Scott and IDX, is that what you're saying?
Yep, the IDX, you guys get that for free. That's all part of your monthly technology fee. All of that's included.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I missed out on that, so.
All right, next up, Reel again. Holy moly, we're down there a lot.
Now,
Or Dan, that would suck. He's gonna go to a lot of classes. So Kevin here violated rule 50AI, the use of an electronic key, and 190, advertising another member's listing prohibited. Summary of the complaint is the broker uses electronic key in connection with an activity not normal or customary of a real estate broker and promoted a property exclusively listed by another member without written permission. So what did they do?
Yeah.
Man, that kind of sounds like maybe they went into someone's listing without permission and went and maybe made a full video
right,
of a seller's home or something without permission. That to me is my guess. They got fined $3,000 and brokers required to attend the class within 90 days.
Yeah, if you had a brothel going on, probably be a bigger fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, next up here is Berkshire Hathaway. Diego violated rule 2C again.
seems to be common.
Yeah, broker promoted a property without inputting, so fined $3,000 with $2,000 suspended on the condition that the member not be found guilty of any further rule violation within 12 months. So that means that the firm has had this happen in the past, but yet it hadn't happened in the last 12 months. So that means this time they're suspending 2,000 of the 3,000. So that means they only have to pay 1,000. And as long as no one else in the firm gets another violation within the 12 months, that 2,000 is suspended. So that's the important part, is make sure you talk about this to make sure you guys don't do it, so it doesn't come back on the firm, and so the other person doesn't have to pay the other $2,000. But that's not good. Seattle Works Real Estate. Shanna, here's the designated broker. Ben broke Rule 125A, contact with owner and owner's creditors. Broker improperly contacted the seller of several properties exclusively listed by another member. They got fined $2,000. The former, oh no, designated broker and broker are required to attend a NWMLS rules and regulations class within 90 days. The former designated broker. So, wow, that's not good. Meaning you should have known better. Obviously, if you're a designated broker, you should know better. So they're making them come to the class too. Coldwell Banker Bain, Pam. The broker violated Rule 2C again. That one's done a lot. Realty One Group. Pam here's broker saying 11G, duty to honor restrictions. This one does come up often, usually. 50A for use of electronic key, and 180A, business cards or identifying information. Summary of complaint: broker failed to honor the showing instructions for a listing, failed to register his electronic key with the NWMLS lockbox during showings, and failed to leave a business card with the accurate identifying information. So the broker got fined $1,000, and they're required to take the class 90 days. So they went to a showing without an appointment, more than likely, and just opened the door, or they came in during someone's showing with a client and didn't use the lockbox, didn't leave a key, and then they left, and maybe they left a door open, or I don't know. It's just hard to tell like how they end up catching them on that one. But could be what happened. We got EXP here, Mr. Ronald for broker Billy, 2C again. No promotion, and 120C, meaning they temporarily off the market. So summary of the complaint, it was temporarily off market and they were still advertising it. So they got fined $2,000. Yep. Specialty Real Estate Group, 2C again, 2C again, 2C again, 2C, 2C. Here's 11G. Duty to honor restrictions. The broker failed to notify the listing firm that she would not be able to attend a confirmed scheduled showing appointment and failed to honor the showing instructions for a listing. Fined $2,000 with $1,000 suspended on the condition that the member not be found guilty of any other further rule violation within 12 months. So that means like they probably had a home inspection scheduled. They showed up, let the home inspector in, and then they left.
Whoa.
That's usually the one that they get people on.
Geez, no.
Hey,
Mhm.
hey, Eric,
Yeah, Robert.
hey, can you go back to that one about the temporarily off the market?
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a listing and it goes temporarily off the market, but you've got some Facebook postings out there that
Oh,
videos or whatever, do you have to remove them from your Facebook page during that temporary off the market?
no, it's just don't post any new ones. I mean, if you posted one at a time and it's on there and it's still on your feed, they'll see when it was posted. It's that this person was actually like, come get this out, you know what I'm saying? The house is temporarily off the market, meaning no broker can go see it. You can't go show it, can't schedule to go see it,
Sure,
you know?
sure.
But that means the person was promoting it. Hey, call me and I'll get you into this house, you know? And so it's just unfair. It kind of goes along the lines of the 2C. That's why it's mentioned. But so temporary off market
Okay.
is where,
Okay.
yeah, you don't do new postings, but your old ones are fine.
Thanks.
All right, you guys. That is it. Thank you so much for making it today. Last meeting of the year, always kind of fun, but why we do these things is to learn from mistakes, and that's part of the reason we do the forms class again, is to talk about these things in depth, and so you guys don't make them and you can stay clear. And then you can laugh about it later and tell your coworkers. Jim.
So how long have those IDX, how long has that been, like, has it always been that way, or?
It's been that way, years,
Oh,
years and years. All right, you guys,
oh.
thank you for making it.
I thought you had to ask the other agent permission to advertise their listings.
You have to ask permission if you're
Thank you.
advertising it separately. Like, oh, I'm gonna make an ad, pay for an ad, and I'm doing that, you know.
You put it in your website,